Breaking news coming in from the global geopolitical arena is triggering serious concern among international security analysts as North Korea's reported missile activity once again becomes a central focus of world attention, sparking a strong political reaction linked to former U.S. President Donald Trump and raising fears of renewed escalation in one of the most sensitive regions on Earth. Shocking developments, rising military alerts, and rapidly spreading diplomatic discussions are now dominating headlines as experts warn that even limited missile testing activity in the Korean Peninsula can create ripple effects across global markets, defense strategies, and international relations. While no confirmed large-scale conflict or emergency declaration has been issued, the tone of responses from multiple global actors suggests a high level of caution and heightened readiness. You are watching Politics Report TV, bringing you the latest developments in U.S. politics and global affairs. In today's detailed special report, we break down the reported missile activity by North Korea, the political reaction from Donald Trump, and what this means for the already fragile balance of power in East Asia and beyond. We also examine the historical background of North Korea's missile program, the United States' long-standing strategic response, and how global powers including China, Russia, South Korea, and Japan are positioning themselves in response to these developments. The Korean Peninsula has long been one of the most closely monitored and militarized regions in the world. Since the end of the Korean War in the 1950s, the peninsula has remained divided between North Korea and South Korea under an armistice agreement that has never evolved into a formal peace treaty. This means that technically the two nations are still in a state of suspended conflict, which is why even minor military developments are treated with extreme seriousness by global defense analysts. Over the years, North Korea has conducted multiple missile tests as part of its military development program, often framing these actions as demonstrations of defense capability and national sovereignty. These tests are closely watched by the United States and its allies, as they often provide insights into technological advancements and strategic intent. At the same time, the United States has maintained a policy of deterrence combined with diplomatic engagement, aiming to prevent escalation while discouraging further weapons development. Donald Trump, who previously served as President of the United States, played a unique role in U.S.-North Korea relations during his administration. He became the first sitting U.S. president to meet directly with North Korean leader Kim Jong Un in a series of historic summits. While those meetings were widely seen as a breakthrough in diplomatic engagement, they ultimately did not produce a long-term denuclearization agreement, leaving the broader tensions unresolved. Now, following reports of renewed missile activity, political reactions tied to Trump's past statements and foreign policy stance are once again entering global discussions, adding a new layer of attention and analysis to an already sensitive situation. According to defense analysts, North Korea's missile-related actions, whether tests, demonstrations, or strategic signaling, are often designed to serve multiple purposes at once. These include showcasing military capability, influencing diplomatic negotiations, and sending political messages to both domestic and international audiences. While exact details of the latest activity remain closely monitored, the reaction from global observers indicates that it has been taken seriously at the strategic level. In the United States, political and defense circles are closely analyzing the situation. Even though Donald Trump is not currently in office, his influence in political discourse remains significant, especially regarding foreign policy matters involving North Korea. His previous approach to direct engagement and high-profile diplomacy continues to be referenced in discussions about how future administrations might handle similar developments. Experts emphasize that U.S. policy toward North Korea is built around deterrence, alliance coordination, and limited diplomatic communication channels. Any indication of missile activity from North Korea typically leads to increased surveillance operations, intelligence sharing with allies, and strategic readiness assessments. However, officials also stress the importance of avoiding overreaction in order to prevent unnecessary escalation. South Korea remains at the center of regional security dynamics. As the immediate neighbor and primary stakeholder in peninsula stability, South Korea closely monitors all military developments originating from the north. In response to missile-related activity, South Korean defense systems typically move into higher alert status and coordination with U.S. forces increases. The demilitarized zone, or DMZ, continues to serve as one of the most heavily fortified borders in the world, symbolizing the long-standing division and unresolved conflict between the two Koreas. Japan also plays a critical role in regional security monitoring due to its proximity and vulnerability to potential missile trajectories. Japanese defense agencies are known to activate rapid response and tracking systems during periods of heightened North Korean activity, even when no direct threat is confirmed. This reflects the broader regional concern that any escalation could have immediate security implications for neighboring countries. China, which shares a border with North Korea, maintains a complex diplomatic position. On one hand, it emphasizes regional stability and discourages escalation. On the other hand, it maintains strategic relations with Pyongyang. This dual role makes China a key diplomatic actor in any situation involving North Korea, as its influence can often contribute to de-escalation efforts or diplomatic dialogue. Russia also remains engaged in broader discussions surrounding regional security and often calls for restraint and negotiation in international forums. Together, China and Russia are frequently seen as balancing forces in discussions involving North Korea, advocating for reduced tensions and diplomatic solutions rather than confrontation. From an economic standpoint, geopolitical uncertainty in the Korean Peninsula can have indirect effects on global markets. While there is no immediate sign of financial disruption in this case, analysts note that sustained tensions often influence investor sentiment, particularly in Asia-Pacific markets. Defense-related sectors may see increased attention, while risk-sensitive markets tend to experience cautious behavior during periods of uncertainty. Security experts highlight that the current situation, while concerning, still falls within the category of managed geopolitical tension rather than active conflict. However, they also warn that the Korean Peninsula remains one of the most unpredictable regions in global politics due to its unresolved war status, military capabilities on both sides, and history of rapid escalation cycles. One of the major risks identified by analysts is misinterpretation. In high-tension environments like this, military tests, political statements, or defensive movements can be interpreted in multiple ways by different actors, increasing the risk of unintended escalation. This is why communication channels, intelligence coordination, and diplomatic backchannels are considered essential tools for maintaining stability. The United States continues to rely on a combination of deterrence and diplomacy, working closely with allies such as South Korea and Japan to maintain regional security. At the same time, political discourse within the United States, especially involving influential figures like Donald Trump, continues to shape global perception of potential policy directions. North Korea, meanwhile, continues to use missile activity and strategic messaging as part of its broader national defense posture. These actions are often interpreted differently by various international actors, depending on political context and timing. Despite tensions, diplomatic engagement channels have not been fully closed, and behind-the-scenes communication efforts are believed to continue in various forms. At this stage, there are no confirmed reports of direct military conflict, emergency declarations, or active engagement between forces. However, global attention remains focused on how the situation evolves in the coming days, particularly in response to any further missile activity or political statements from involved parties. In conclusion, North Korea's reported missile activity and the associated political reaction from Donald Trump have once again highlighted the fragile balance of security in East Asia and the broader global implications of regional tensions. While the situation has not escalated into open conflict, it continues to serve as a reminder of how quickly geopolitical dynamics can shift in sensitive regions. The world now watches closely, waiting for diplomatic signals, strategic responses, and potential de-escalation efforts that could shape the next phase of this developing story. Stay tuned for continuous updates on Politics Report TV, where we bring you clear, factual, and timely coverage of global political developments as they unfold.